Now that my semester has concluded, I wanted to just reflect a little bit on my experience introducing the SIFT framework to the students and continuing my own learning in the process as well. I've got four lessons that I'm really taking away from the experience. It began with actually an exchange that I had with Mike Caulfield himself, the person who came up with the SIFT framework. And I was responding to something, some sort of thread or chat about the SIFT model, and just told him just truly how astounded I was at what we experienced. And he joked back to me and said, "It's like magic, isn't it?" And I thought, oh my goodness, there's no better description, but that it really did feel like magic, that just with a few easy to follow approaches, just how everything changed. And I just absolutely love getting to witness that firsthand. I cannot say enough what that meant for me, and feeling that hope, just that all of us collectively could continue to learn and get better in this area, just truly was exciting. I'm using a tool right now, a screencasting tool called Loom. There are, of course, lots of screencasting tools that are out there. What I liked about this one, and again, lots of others have this, is where you could see a little itty bitty picture of the student as they recorded their own sifting. They would actually pull up windows and show me what it was that they were looking at. And I just, the way that it helped me get to know them, not just with, by the way, the SIFT stuff, we used it a lot in the class, and also then I could record back to them. So it ended up being very, very much like a conversation, only a conversation that would take place over a period of days in some cases. So it did very much simulate a conversation, and allowed for them to show their work. As one example, actually, so my third lesson is about how the reflection questions helped. So I would ask them, where do you currently get your news? And what works for you about that method? And then what is something that you might like to do differently, if anything, with the method of your current means for getting news? And so sometimes they could literally come to their web browser and pull up a website, and off they would go to showing me as they're recording what the specific websites, places, entities. But sometimes it was really cute because they'd bring up a picture of their family or of their friends and say, this, is generally how I get it. Or they would log in to their Facebook account. So those, just being able to, again, screencast and see what they're seeing in their heads, if that makes any sense, was really a helpful thing that worked really well. And then I already was starting to talk about the reflection questions. I just found that it was useful to meet them where they are. I mean, all of us appreciate that. Just today you get it from your family. Interesting, you get your news from your friends. And it just, without any sense of that there's something right or wrong with those means, they just are. We could live in the they just are for a little while before we went into the, oh, might there be other ways that might increase the likelihood that what you're seeing is accurate before you pass it on, which of course is all a part of SIFT. Before we got there, let's just start with, who are you? Where are you in your journey for becoming a more informed person? How important is it to you? It just really, it did help, just not having anybody have a chance to feel like their identities were being threatened in any way. I think that's part of the challenge, is just people, oh, I got this from my family member who I'm very close to and I respect. You don't want to be, well, that's not the right way to do it. It helped anchor some discussions, just to meet each other and hear a little bit about people's current practices. That worked really well. There, of course, are some reflection questions built into the 3-hour SIFT course that Mike Caulfield prescribes, and then I had others that we did before we even got into the framework and the modules that we did inside of our learning management system. I should also note, by the way, that those reflection questions started out being privately just with me. And then as we built our early skills, they're still private with me. And then slowly but surely, then the skills would start to become more public as they built their confidence and their competence. That's when we would start sharing more publicly in a safer environment where people felt at least decently equipped with the core set of tools. And then The last one is when I think about, so I had in their final exam, one of the questions was look at this recent news story. And it happened, I don't know if that's interesting or not, but it happened to be a story about a data breach with Facebook. And my husband joked with me last night. He said, isn't that like so regular? Because I asked him if he'd heard about it, and he said, like, which one? But anyway, so it was a news story about a Facebook data breach that I asked them for their final exam to go record a Loom video about how they would go through the SIFT process with it. And one of the things I noticed with a couple of students is nothing major, but a couple of students, maybe it was more than a couple, a decent enough percentage of them that I was concerned that they kind of forgot in the SIFT framework, you don't just search. So if it was, I'll just go look, see if I can even find it. Yeah, I think this might have been it. So too many of them. You don't just to search to do a lateral search in the SIFT framework. You don't just copy the headline. And I had some of them that were doing this, and that got them where they needed to be in the sense of, oh, the Guardian, oh, okay, Reuters, oh, okay. So it got them to be able to do lateral reading, but I realized too late in the practice that ideally we wouldn't just copy a headline, because headlines in and of themselves can get us down rabbit trails and be clickbait and all of that. So ideally, it would have just been something like what I just did, um, something that would get us to be able to do that same lateral reading, but without the problems inherent in searching off of a particular headline. So that was something that I noticed too late in the process, where if I had had more regular, we went through the 3 hour modules in SIFT, we had a few practice times, but then there were some weeks where they didn't use it enough. I didn't have enough practice after the official modules had ended before they got to their final exam to catch things like that. Now, I will say, even though I know I can get better, it's still, I want to circle back to its magic in the sense of, even though, a small number of them had that challenge where they're looking for the headline, they're still so much better off than prior to the course, and are still going to be able to do reverse image searches and look up media companies on Wikipedia, a lot of the practices. And yeah, if they missed that one, they're still going to be able to have a set of skills that will get them pretty far in their own information literacy. So I felt really good about that, but definitely will be correcting for that in the future. So that's a little bit of a look at this semester, what it was like for us in a 2021 business ethics course, and my lessons in SIFTing. Thanks for watching.